Welcome to the November 10th, 2021 SMI community meeting. Today's call is the last call for November, and we'll talk about that a little bit in our winter holiday schedule announcements. But welcome. Hi, I'm Bridget, and we don't have a ton on the agenda today, but we have folks joining and I want to hear from them. So I'll just run through the announcements quickly. Our winter holiday schedule for this call is we're meeting today, then we're not meeting Wednesday, November 24th. We are meeting Wednesday, December 8th. We're not meeting Wednesday, December 22nd. So 2 meetings to go for 2021. And then our normal schedule every other Wednesday will resume in January 2022. Wow, these do not sound like years that exist, but apparently they do, which is a little bit distressing. Okay, so I wanted to, because we are kind of coming to the end of this year and we're all pretty busy, I want to make sure we prioritize why people are joining, what they want to chat about, what they want to accomplish. So I'm gonna turn the floor over to, what do you folks want to talk about today?
Well, I can give you a status update on the controller SDK, if that will break the silence.
That sounds wonderful, Nick. You want to tell us what to think about?
Very quick TLDR. So Keith has been doing some fabulous work on the Istio controller, and that's looking really good. So if there are any folks interested in Istio, please check out the Istio controller adapter repository on Service Mesh Interface GitHub. I've been doing some bits and pieces. We're trying to make the Helm chart a little bit better and to kind of save people from having to create a Helm chart every time they create an adapter. So we're doing that. And there's some stuff that I think would be really interesting to look at around validation, and also, what was that? Error handling, error messages and public up, that sort of stuff. So there's plenty going on there. If anybody's interested or any has specific knowledge around controllers in Kubernetes and would love to help out, we would love help.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that a little bit. I had a discussion item on the agenda around the Smi Controller Sdk, and kind of the more general question of the responsibilities of the adapter versus the SDK. That kind of comes from a discussion Nick and I had in a pull request and to the Smi Controller SDK. Essentially, the Helm chart depends on the build artifacts that come from KubeBuilder, and there's kind of this dependency where it makes more sense, kind of like what Nick said a second ago, where it makes more sense for the Smi Controller SDK to host the Helm chart, a general Helm chart where you just replace the image of the particular adapter you wanted to use. Is that, I guess, for my discussion, I want to kind of start up that kind of makes sense for the Helm chart. How do we feel about, there's not really a documented process or standard for creating new images for the adapters. I'm just sending it to my personal Docker Hub repo. Since I think nobody's using it yet, still in development. It might be good. I think it might be good to have some clean delineation around what's the responsibility of the Smi Controller SDK to provide. So the Helm chart probably fits into that section versus what kind of artifacts / assets the adapter, an accepted, a supported adapter would provide. So I'll open the floor for discussion on that.
That's a really good one, Keith. I genuinely, my personal opinion is that it would be really great to have some official Service Mesh Interface or CNCF Docker images for the various different adapters that we've built, because like I'm doing exactly the same thing. Everything just goes in Nicholas Jackson because it's easy, and right now easy works for me. But I don't have any strongly held opinions on how or where or what. But I think it would be nice from a authenticity perspective to have those hosted somewhere under the CNCF ownership.
I know that we've had in the Helm community, we've looked at various places to store things, and we've ended up putting some things on GitHub. And the GitHub container images is a place that we've found to work pretty well in conjunction with, you know, kind of being official with a repo. So that might be one worth looking at, like under the auspices of Service Mesh Interface.
Bridget, do you know if, and I've not looked at, the last time I looked at GitHub container registry, which I think is great. I really love it. The only thing was a small barrier for me was that to pull from the GitHub, you've got to be authenticated with your GitHub access token you can't just do like a public blind pull, which, and I don't know if that's changed since the registry has moved on, but like I'm all about that. I think that's a great idea. The only sort of caveat is if you have to sort of authenticate to pull the images, even though it's kind of public and it's like your public GitHub token, is that a barrier to adoption?
I don't know the answer to that. Perhaps somebody else on the call does.
I'm not familiar with that either. I also looked at GitHub container registry a while back, back when it was first released, but I haven't really kept up with it since. So it might be something to look into, especially around if there's any like concerns with, I mean, Docker Hub is still kind of the place to put things, but I don't know what that looks like moving forward with some of the changes happening in that community. So it would be nice to keep that, you know, to have a as future-proof as possible location for those images.
Does someone want to take an action item of researching this? Note that I am not volunteering because I do not have time this month. But if somebody else wants to look into exactly what the limits around GitHub Container Registry are before our call in early December, that could be cool.
So I think, and this is total delegation mode from Jackson here. Actually, I'm being flippant, but this is a really great opportunity for anybody who is interested in being able to sort of, or wanting to contribute to the project and CNCF and want something that's really a light way to get involved, doing a little bit of research around this and kind of putting some proposals together for best approaches and sort of technical drawbacks and things like that. Doesn't have to be heavy. It could literally just be a GitHub write-up. If anybody would like to do that, that would be incredible. If not, I guess Keith and I will we need to figure this out to be able to kind of get things moving along.
Yeah, do we want to, if we want to get this kind of outside the call, should we take an action item to create a GitHub issue and maybe add a help wanted tag? I know that's a fairly common process to solicit people from the community who want to contribute. Might help spread the word out and just get more. It's a place you can direct people. You can add context there, and I can take that action item, Bridget, to create that issue. If we're all good with that.
That sounds
great. Excellent.
Awesome.
Hey, this is Phil. I'm sorry I joined late. I caught just the last of that. What's the ask again around container registry on GitHub?
Essentially, at present, there's not really a official registry / container image repo for the service mesh interface adapters. So Nick and I developing for SEO and console have just kind of been pushing to our personal Docker Hub registries. And so we're kind of, I think, investigating a better place for these to live so we can have some documented official guidance for where to host these things to make sure anybody who wants to use them has access with a low barrier to entry. Does that answer your question, Phil?
Yeah, it does. We're having similar discussions in the OSM project as well. Some images that were on Docker Hub that we're looking to migrate somewhere else. And yeah, we thought about GitHub registry as a target. I don't mind. I'm working with another engineer on that. It's probably similar stuff. So yeah, go ahead and tag me. I'm signing up for something. That's fine.
Awesome. I will put, I've got the action item to make the GitHub issue. I will either share the link in the SMI channel or tag people on GitHub, whichever is preferred.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, I'm doing this again, so I think there's some learnings I can just bring over to this as well.
Excellent. Thanks, Phil.
Awesome. That's great. And by the way, Keith, I saw belatedly after you started talking, all the things you added to the agenda. I had not scrolled down far enough, and you added it late breaking enough that I didn't see it when I looked before the meeting. But in any case, yes, thank you so much for adding that. And I'm kind of wondering if I have a question around the, you mentioned once SMI SDK Go is deprecated. When we say deprecated, are we specifically saying some of those repos, we're going to mark them as archived, like, so that it's very clear that we don't expect people to use them? Like, what do you think we should do along those lines?
Yeah, good question. I had a similar discussion item last time we met around that, and I was mainly just waiting to finish up some work around the Meshery SMI conformance stuff in the Istio controller repo. So the long and short of it is that the SMI SDK Go library is, my understanding from Nick and Michelle, is that it's no longer maintained. New work is happening in the Smi Controller Sdk repository, and that people should go there. But through like GitHub, Google search, and all, people just trying to get involved with SMI, the old repos are the ones popping up. And so as far as what that deprecation looks like, I don't know if if going straight to archived is the best thing. Maybe we add a deprecation notice in the README, point people to the new, maybe have a permanent issue and point people to the new repos, and then move to archive it after a fixed, time box interval. Just again, I don't think anybody. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it might take. We might have to propose a plan of action that spans many months around how that's handled. So the SMI SDK Go is it still gets updated because that's the primary source of truth for the the sort of the codified elements of the configuration. And I believe that OSM and Linkerd have hard dependency on that old. That there may be a bunch of other people as well. So I think what we have to do is maybe like start a proposal. My humble opinion is that the new XDK app offers so much more for creators of controllers, but we obviously have to be heavily respectful of folks who are using the existing one. You know what? Like, I don't think it's unreasonable that we might not be able to deprecate it. I think it's, but maybe there's a smart way we can sort of keep automate. I don't know. I think it's a topic that's worthy of conversation to take a whole meeting.
Thank you for that call out, because I had no idea about those dependencies. So yeah, that greatly changes how we have to approach any kind of deprecation or sunsetting. Bridget, you look at something you want to say?
I mean, when you mark a repo as archived in GitHub, you're literally just marking it as read-only, so it doesn't delete it. So anyone who's like automatically pulling something out of it, that's not going to stop them. However, if there are projects that have an ongoing dependency, and maybe Alan or Phil can address that specifically in the case of OSM, but like if there are projects that are pulling in something that expect it to keep being updated, you're certainly not under any obligation to update the old one forever. Like, you can put a notice in the README saying, hey, people, move to this one, and like that's how software works. So like, I don't think we have to worry, as long as we're not going to delete it and yank it off the internet. I don't think we have to worry about, we are obligated to keep updating an old thing forever. That's not how this works.
Shout out to LeftPad there.
Right. Yes. As long as we don't have any left shark sadness. But yeah, Phil, what's your thinking on this?
No, I think you're right. Yeah, I would just be clear on the communication, put the deprecation banner up, and that'll kind of freeze whatever that latest release. And, you know, it's responsibility on them if there's any security vulnerabilities or something. I mean, once we tag it as deprecated, people should move away from it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't disagree. Is there, I know a lot of projects, and I'm relatively new to the SMI community, so I just don't know if this exists, but a lot of projects have like a support kind of plan where it's like or they have standards for communication when things are going to be deprecated. Is there anything like that in place that we need to be cautious of? So like moving incrementally toward on the communication side?
I think maybe it might be more, I'll push it back to like asking Nick and maybe even you, where do you see the holes are? Because I think what people are going to ask is, oh, okay, you haven't updated the old thing in a while. And I guess that's not a surprise that you're not going to update it. And here's this new thing. Where are the holes and what's the transition plan? Like that's what people are going to ask. So if we can get that stuff into the README, I think that we don't have some kind of like, we support this many versions back and blah, blah, blah. Like there's, SMI is a spec. We don't support anything specifically. Like we don't support people's software.
Well, I'll mention this, Bridget. So I do know the CNCF.
Mhm.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. So I do know once you, and I don't know, I guess we're still in sandbox for SMI, is that right? Okay, so we don't have the semantic guarantees that are needed with CNCF at this point, being at sandbox. Is that a true statement?
I can look at the README on the SMI spec and say, gosh, a lot of stuff is now alpha. So I don't think anything is going to surprise people if it changes.
No, I think as you go up the ladder, and it may start with incubation, where you then have to have a story around how you're semantically versioning, and then
Sure.
has your any kind of deprecated APIs, etc. But I don't think that's the case for this. So I think we can.
Yeah.
We have a little more control at this point until we get to that level, either incubating or graduated project.
So just for kind of a bit of context as well around, which I think is important to put some history into when we do craft that instruction, is around why there is a brand new repository. And originally the plan wasn't to create a brand new repository. It was to be able to have hopefully to be able to support the existing Go SDK, which is generated with I forget the name of the generator, the old controller generation tool, and to then import those data objects as a package into the controller SDK. But when we were doing that, what we were actually doing was not leveraging any of the real features of Cube Builder. So some of the things that really cause a lot of complexity around maintenance, it's not really maintaining the DTOs as such, they're the data object. It's actually handcrafting all of the CRDs and things like that, which there isn't an automated process for doing right now. With Cube Builder, you've got all of the generators that actually create all of those for you. So Michelle and I, we had that kind of conversation, and we started off with these two repos, and we're like, this isn't working. We've just got to kind of bite the bullet. But I think the main sort of the main thing might be the OSMT and how, because I think you have that hard defense in the Go SDK. So it's whether you want to move fully to the new controller SDK, or I believe there's a way where you can kind of have a halfway house where you can just consume the data API object from the controller SDK without going all in on the controller. But I do also believe there's a difference between the way that the two Kubernetes APIs work. You know, the kind of the automatically generated listers and things like that. I don't know if we can auto generate those with the kube builder approach. But yeah, I think it's a really interesting project to figure out.
Okay, so it sounds like the call to action is we need someone from the OSM team to assess whether the new SDK meets their needs or can be moved to. Is that, am I hearing that right?
Oh, sorry, I was muted again. Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be great. And also to try and like, I think that speaking with somebody on that team would be the best route, best way to plan a route forward. Because we obviously do not want to kind of make anybody suffer in the face of progress, even though that progress is mighty and powerful. But so I'd be happy to have that conversation with anybody anytime. I can kind of walk through the controller SDK, kind of give some historical context on why it was created, what it can do, and hopefully show how it can actually just make your life easier as well around some of the capabilities that it does. And yeah, like hit me up with a DM if anybody on OSM would be interested in that conversation.
Yeah, Nick, I can help get that meeting going. I think, yeah, let's do that soon, because we're already road mapping like VNext for OSM. So I think this is a good time to start chatting about this.
That'd be dope. Thanks. Keith might also be interested in that. I don't know if I know we probably definitely help with some technical insights, so maybe it's worth we have like a more of an open call on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd be happy. I'd love to. I want to get to understand a bit more of the abstractions the Smi Controller Sdk provides when working with Istio. So happy to be on that call whenever that's scheduled.
How about we schedule that for December 8th in this time slot? Is it too soon? That gives us about a month to kind of figure out what we want discussed there.
Sounds great for me.
Yeah, if it's not too urgent, that works.
Gives us a topic for next time. Okay. What else, if anything, do we want to talk about today? Now that we know what we'll be talking about next time, which is not 2 weeks from now, but 4 weeks. Going once, going twice. And sold to the wonderful group of people who are collaborating to make something awesome. Thanks, folks, and we'll see you in a month.
Bye all.
Okay, thanks.
Bye all.